It's the property talk. Let me not take you away from what's main today. It's the property talk where we make sense of the real estate industry. And on set with me, Dr. Rachel Mirembe Arinaitwe. We had to pace this because the information that was being shared was extremely important and mind-changing, game-changing, mind-changing. So we had to pace it. But of course, we're back to give you much more. So I totally agree with you. Yes. We did some changes to our property when we started here about the sustainability. And even for Olim Group, we have a construction firm under Olim. Even when we are constructing, we've started to advise our clients. It's just not about what you have in mind or what you desire. So we need to find ways that we're going to do something. It's just not a beautifying home, but it's a home that supports your system.
Exactly. Yeah. And your health. Yeah. And your health. I am happy that you're advising your clients in Olim Group. You know why? Because many people in Uganda do not do this. You go to an architect and they'll not tell you, okay, you want this design, but how about we make the windows a little bit larger? How about we use solar panels for the energy? We have a lot of rain in Uganda.
I know.
Why are we still depending solely on national water? What about waste management? These are all things that can actually be done. You don't have to wait for a big building. I have gone to places where there's no green and I'm wondering, how do you survive?
Yes.
How do you actually survive?
There are many. And the green that they have is a net fisher plant.
You know, Uganda, we are so blessed that we have soils that whatever you grow, whatever you put in,
will grow.
Will grow.
Awesome. True.
Do you know in Dubai, I lived in Cape Town, but getting a plant to grow was hell. You had to use fertilizers, you had to use what? Get air. Here in Uganda, just put it there. After 1 week, it will be blossoming.
So we've been talking about carbon emission.
Yes.
I'd like to know, how is real estate contributing to this carbon emission globally?
Like I earlier said, we as real estate stakeholders are contributing 38% to the carbon emissions. 38%. And I said it's coming from the day-to-day operations, the SCs that we use, the water that we use, the flushing. You know, when you're flushing the toilet and using a lot of water.
Many people don't know that. I have said it before. I'm sorry, Rachel, for cutting you short. I have said it before. You have a toilet in your house. It has 2 buttons. But there are some of you that even get excited when you're flushing, you whoop both buttons.
Not necessary.
But there are some of you that do not know the uses of these buttons. You go do number 1, press big button. Go do number 2, press small button. Did you know that each of these buttons give you different liters of water?
That's true.
We're just 2 people in the house, but the water bill is crazy. National Water is cheating us. Why don't you first blame yourself and say, okay, how am I cheating myself when it comes to usage of my water? But someone is brushing, opens the tap, the faucet, water keeps flowing for the duration they are done brushing. And then there are some, because you have a tight schedule, you're brushing, you're working, you're trying to do this, water is flowing. National Water is calculating. We have house helps. But if you're doing dishes, and you're done scrubbing, why should the water be flowing until you reach the point of rinsing?
And you know what, Christabel? That is the 28% that I told you in operational activities. Well, we'll say, but it's my money. National Water will bill me and I'll pay. But look at the fish in Lake Victoria that depend on that water. You get it? You're doing a disservice to them. In 2018, there was a water shortage in Cape Town. The city of Cape Town had to ration how much water you use per family. It was so bad that when you're not supposed to use more than 5 liters of water for bathing. You had to have like 50 liters for a family.
Some of us go in the bathroom and hold a full concert while we are showering.
You see? So how did the water shortage come up in Cape Town?
The shower is running while you're having a concert. No, if I know this way, that is for me.
You're doing a disservice to the environment. So I think we all need, because we are all real estate stakeholders.
Yes.
It's not only the Mongols who are building or the real estate investors. It's not the property managers alone. It's not the real estate brokers. You, an individual who is living in that house, you are a real estate stakeholder and you're contributing to the 38%. So if some of the things can change. Yesterday I was visiting one of the properties that I manage. and it was 3 p.m. and the outside lights were still on. And I suddenly said, but why are these lights on? So the caretaker told me, but you know what, madam? It is them who pay the Umeme bill. But that is not sustainability. That is actually not sustainability. Switch off the lights. If you're in a room and you're not using it, switch it off. Go to the next one. Simple practices like that will help us get the carbon emissions less.
Yes. We've talked about green buildings. We are coming to conclusion. Yes. We've talked about green buildings. Yes. What are the advantages and disadvantages of green buildings? We have had some of the advantages, but I am very sure there's some disadvantages to these green buildings. I don't think they are all glossy. Are there any, Rachel?
Yes, of course, everything good sometimes comes with, I'll call them challenges and not disadvantages. The benefits we've talked about.
Yes.
The first benefit is the health benefit. It is believed, and research has actually proved, that people who live in green buildings live for a longer time.
Of course, it's self-explanatory, really. You're doing everything wrong. From eating to where you're sleeping, to how you're sleeping,
That's true.
Everything.
That's true. Yeah, but that said, apart from the health, there's also financial benefit to it. Like I told you,
financial freedom.
Yes. The Garden City building in Kenya helps them save 30 million Kenyan shillings on the energy and the water that they get to themselves. I told about the Crystal Building. Crystal Building, the management saves up to £500,000 per annum. £500,000, that's a lot of money. To save for any company. That is profit. You've heard of the PricewaterhouseCoopers building in the UK. That is a building that was not originally green, but was upgraded to green to take care of the net zero. They save up to £14 million per annum in energy alone, and the carbon emissions. That is good finances for anyone who is managing, or for an owner. That is enough saving.
You can imagine, as a property owner, just as, because I'm trying to look at you, the normal Ugandan, who is the property owner. Imagine how much you'd be saving in utility bills, your water bill, your electricity bill.
Exactly. And apart from that, now green buildings, especially outside Uganda, I think Uganda, we need to still understand and appreciate the concept, but green buildings are sought for after. Like, the demand is quite higher than a regular or ordinary building. That means that because the demand is high, they're a little bit pricey, and that is more money. I was talking to the civil engineer of the I&M building in Rwanda, and she told me that the building got full before they could even finish it. If you wanted space at the IM building, it's not there. Why? Because it's green. One of the challenges we are having with office space in Uganda, actually, we have buildings that are looking very, very good, but they are at A. Do you know that the ratings of buildings, grade A, grade B, grade C? We don't have a grade P, which is premium. And you know why we don't have a grade P? It's because they are not green. For a building to be P, grade P, it has to have green in it, or it's a green building, or sustainability features. We don't have in the office space.
I'm embarrassed.
So we need to wake up. Apart from that, also people say that green buildings are expensive in terms of materials. They don't have where to get the materials.
Yeah, I've had that. I won't disclose the name, but one of the property developers in Uganda told me, see, Property Show and Homes Expo is pushing green building sustainability, but how do you expect us to afford that and have a turnover at the end of the day, or keep houses affordable?
Did I tell you at the beginning that for a building to be green, it has to use locally sourced materials? Again, I want to disprove that particular point. The IM building in Kigali, why I'm using Kigali is because I don't want to use land, and you'll say those are far. IM building in Kigali used bricks. When you look at them, they are similar to the Kajansi that we have. It is the bricks, locally sourced materials. They didn't use those expensive, funny things, call them funny. They use bricks. And the building looks magnificent. When it came to tiling, they used the locally sourced granite from Rwanda. They didn't go anywhere else to. I see here people going to China to bring tiles, containers. Use the locally. Bobo, build Uganda.
Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
Exactly, that is what we should be. Then it will be green. So it is not expensive. The materials are not hard. Don't copy the style of Crystal Building. You get it? Because Crystal Building is in London. It is all glass. But why? They have winter seasons. They have summer. They need all that glass for the whole year round, especially winter when they don't have the sun. But if you're gonna coming up with a building, use the Kajans like I am used. Put in the big windows, put in the aeration. Again, Garden City does the same thing, you know, and get the product which is sustainable.
So if you're out there and you need to understand more, send in your questions to our social media platforms. Dr. Rachel will answer those questions further in our next show. But then the other thing I'd also like to say as we're winding up is Dr. Rachel will be with us at the Homes and Property Expo, where we shall have a masterclass on these very same topics with other architects on ground. Uganda, we have to move forward. We have to take a step forward. Why should we be the one country where investors are not coming? We are ripe, and now is the time for us. You know, let's create these things. It was a pleasure having you on set. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here. And our viewers, thank you for watching.